Interesting. Well, that conflicts with the spider's idea. It really does appear to be a sort of mythos. And he's suddenly charged at. The man is lucky he didn't get clobbered. A shade of some sort, it appears. Right. Startled, but reassessing himself, the shade would speak. I understand you are running errands for the merchant, Lanella. I'm not quite running errands, no, but I have no issue with doing something if you are in need of it. What exactly do you have in mind? You and I are tracking the same thief. In our case, this rogue has stolen something very important to our lord. In your case, valuable goods that the thief carry could bring you rewards from a certain merchant. In either case, we can both profit from this thief being brought to justice. What you're saying is true. I'm still wary, though. I've not had many good dealings with your people. What are you suggesting exactly? I suggest that we hold a truce. Since both of us are hunting this thief, we can both benefit from her capture, and we can cover twice the ground. If my party happens against the thief first, we will deliver to you the merchant goods. If you happen upon the thief, you will deliver to us the stolen goods from our lord. We both get what we want. Essentially, he's offering the idea of the Shadowvar no longer attacking him. But frankly, Victor's not really intimidated, though he would like to stop taking lives if he can help it. But the Shadowvar are not exactly good people. He doesn't have much guilt about cutting them down anymore. He also has already completed this little quest, so... Now first, what exactly is she carrying that is so important to this lord of yours? It is a Netheresian item, an object of the long-forgotten past, useless to you and your kind, but important to us. You will recognize it when you see it. Netheresian item. Victor's not certain what he may be talking about. But he isn't a fool. If it's an Netheresian item, it's not going to be a weak thing. He's mixed up what he got with the thief and what he got from the Dryad, but he's not entirely sure what exactly the man is after. He's at a moral impasse here. On one hand, the Shadowvar are not good people, really. They're fanatics in many ways, from what Victor's been able to pick up so far in his time here. But at the same time, he would like to stop spilling as much blood as possible, and this could sow seeds that maybe in the future helps encourage them to stop just attacking people. He'll make the deal, and if the item isn't something of immense power, he'll let them have it. If they're after something that does, he'll refuse, and whatever consequences hit, so be it. Very well, Shade. We have a deal. Excellent. I will leave at least one representative here at this camp while we hunt, in case you have any luck. Likewise, you can receive updates from us here on our progress. Alright, well, obviously he'd go on and say, I already have Cut down the thief. Now, what is it do you want? Run of good... Okay. Show me. Her name was Rith, Dark One. It matters not what the ape called herself, but I assume that since you know her name, that you have indeed found her, so let's end this. Give me the key she was carrying. There's no actual option here. So you just gotta try to persuade him off. So he's after the key that she had. Huh. Interesting. Well, it's my only option, so of course I gotta take it. I see. In that case I seek another. Begone, human. I have no time to deal with the likes of you. Interesting. So he's after the key for some reason. They said it was... the shadow. There must be a corridor or a temple or something around here. Interesting. That's the Darklands. Looks like a little camp. No one there of note. You can't enter the actual Shadowvar camp. That's probably for the best. A bunch of moths circling the flame with a dark halfling? Sale siluba bubaka. Slay? Is that your name? My name is Victor. I'm sorry, do you speak common? I don't speak this tongue. I speak many others. Perhaps we'll find some form of communication that works. Mijo Palea Inca. Okay. I have no clue what it is you're saying, unfortunately. It seems you understand me, just not the other way around. That looked like an assessment of yes. The tongue actually sounds very much like Fae, but it's different. Interesting. She seems to be motioning that she wants to follow me for some reason. Why do you want to follow me? Is that what you're after? That was a positive. Interesting. Well, don't hold it against me if you don't make it. I wonder why she's taken an interest in me. Victor's clearly uncertain, but it's something to note, he supposes. Siam the priest. Good night to you. What can I do for you? I'll be happy to help for an appropriate donation. There is the matter of the undead wandering the Shadowlands, well, Darklands. Do you know anything about a lost soul named Soydok? Being the keeper of local lore, I know Soydok's story well. It is the story of a wizard who fell due to weakness. Many hundreds of years ago did this story begin. There was a wizard whose name is lost to all but our oldest leaders. He was among the greatest examples of his profession. It was his post to guard the chambers of his guild's most important halls. His fall was a shape-shifting creature in the guise of a beautiful woman. Soydok failed his duty as a guard for his guild, and was cast out onto the Darklands, powerless and cursed. Can you tell me more about this guild? I'm afraid not much else is known, lost to time or buried in obscure tomes. These legends... Oh, in obscure tomes these legends are... Legend, of course, says that Soydok still wanders the Darklands, accursed, and that his guild hall borders the shifting shadows there, lost all but they who tread in darkness. I'd like to ask something else in that case. I was hoping to ask you a couple more questions, actually. Being a worshipper of Bakob, I am often blessed with all the answers to questions from commoners like yourself. Answer away. A little bit stuck up, but that's fine. Victor's dealt with far worse. What can you tell me about the Darklands themselves? Desolate areas indeed. Negative energy infuses these places, whether the negative energy is bled over from the negative energy plane, or if it is simply a byproduct of the high concentration of undead shadows and other life-draining undead is unknown. Although we do have a team of worshippers researching this very problem. Since the darkened regions are negative-dominant living creatures that travel there eventually crumble into ash unless they are careful to avoid the deep darkness therein. Yes, Victor's already experienced that several times. And what can you tell me about the Shadow Queen? There are, of course, several theories surrounding the Shadow Queen's origin. Our church has narrowed these down to two very probable theses. The Planar Prison thesis and the Phantasm Lady thesis. Would you like to hear one of them? Victor's pretty sure he's heard both now, but yes, just for clarification, Planar Prison thesis first. Eons ago, there was a great war between, well, to simplify it for a commoner such as yourself, light and dark. The lore of Bakob says the demons of darkness had an almost unbeatable weapon. An artifact that allowed instant interplanar travel. Light won, though, and the leader of the Dark was held accountable for the danger she had caused to the Light. Her sentence was imprisonment in her own home plane, guarding the artifact against all future attempts to control it. I've even seen her, you know? And I've seen seas of pure energy. Nebula of pure time, voids of pure thought, grey hells of the purest entropy. Yet nothing has stricken me more than her beauty and her sadness. And what about the other theory? In this theory, the Queen is a phantasm, an illusion, created by a group of illusionists as a laugh. There is some evidence to this. If you study the sightings, there hardly ever seem to be auroral, olfactory, or heat descriptions with her appearance. She would be a simple illusion to create, indeed. Interesting. The first one seems more likely at this point, really. Victor knows that things are usually not so simple. He's also had the interactions with them himself, and she seemed very real. What about this Bakob? Bakob? Of course. Our flock has been growing in recent years. Those who value the power and knowledge of both druids and wizards have much to gain from Bakob's tenets. Bakob the Uncaring is the patron of neutrality, foreknowledge, and foresight. He is the archmage of the deities. He has few followers, but this does not appear to concern him in the least. Our temples and shrines are few and are encouraged to be built near magical phenomena such as this magical place of twilight. Our goals are to seek and gain knowledge about magic, planar structures, and long-lost lore. Sages, scholars, seers, diviners, wizards make up the bulk of our following, and those seeking to create new magical items or spells often seek his aid as well. Interesting. Do you have any wares, by chance? You seem to be a wizard by that description. Looks like a standard set of armor. And arms. Nothing too amazing. Yeah, nothing that he's... Although that Rod of Resurrection looks nice. Yeah, he'll be buying that just to have one. It can be quite useful. Worst case scenarios, especially now that he has a Wanderer following him around. He's not entirely certain she'll be very useful, but she is there, and he'd feel guilty if she died on his watch. That's one he's already read. Books on Macabre. Interesting. Yeah, he's read those already. Still, good to know there's a shopkeep that's just normal. Ian the Storyteller. Well met. Come and sit by the fire and let me tell you a tale. Take a seat. Sure. I am Ian, last of a line of shadow-dwelling bards, or I will be in time. Until then I travel in search of knowledge, power, and interesting tales. But enough of shadow talk, let me tell you a tale. A tale of triumph, of despair, or of interest. Which of these stories would you like to hear? The Tower of Shadow, the City of Shade, or the Shadowed Age? Well, considering where Victor's headed, the Tower of Shadow sounds like a good story to hear. Certainly. This is interesting. I don't know how I'm going to narrate this. I suppose I'll let him go ahead and go through the whole thing, and then read it all in one go. The Shadow Prince followed the advice of the Dark Mage, and built the tower, covering it in the ancient ruins. Using the artifact, he performed a ritual meant to give him absolute power over the plane of shadow. When the Lich D'Artemis was able to venture into the deep shadow, he discovered the tower's ruins near the center of the Darklands. Following an odd compulsion he didn't entirely understand, he rebuilt the tower, imbuing it with his own magic. Today, the tower still stands, overlooking the vast dangers of the Darklands, and full of its own dangers as well. Interesting. Now, it's nothing Victor hasn't already heard, but it's good to know that it's common enough knowledge that there's a story on it. A slaver. Victor's got some mixed feelings about this. On one hand, he wants to just go in there and destroy them all. Slavers are something he refuses to ever tolerate. But on the other hand, he also knows that every culture has its differences, and some slaves aren't treated that badly in some cultures. This is also not the prime material plane. The same rules don't apply. I think Victor will just avoid the situation entirely. He won't go in, he won't risk losing his head and going on a murder spree against the evils as a damn crusader, because then he'd be a hypocrite. But he also doesn't want to put himself in the position of trying to free them when it's probably not possible. He'll express his disgust and simply move on. Shari. Interesting, a lynx. The words of the wise are as goads, and as tracks driven deep in roads. All knowledge may be regarded as having its station on the heights of mountains in every nation. It is deservedly esteemed a thing, sublime and lofty, which looks down upon ignorance, albeit softly. Oh no, riddles. It is my pleasure to propose to human Mr. a diversity of hard questions and riddles which I have received from university. Do you wish to engage? Every time Victor has been done riddles, it's because he has been forced to. He has had no other choice. Either to appease the little fairy dragon of Drogans before his passing, or with the one lynx in the ruins that he dealt with, or the dragon, or anything like that. He's only ever done it when he was forced to. So I'm pretty sure he's going to say, no thank you. He is a scholar, he loves knowledge, he loves growth, he loves reading and stories and history, literature, but he doesn't like riddles. There might be a benefit to it. Often they have very powerful magical gifts that they offer in return. Victor doesn't need it. It is not worth it in his eyes. Now, with that said, I think Victor is going to talk to the Weaver and try to see if he can get something done about bonding the root bulb to his cloak. Maybe the spirits of the elves can purify it for him. And if so, it would empower it quite a bit. He'll see about maybe some alchemy too, but I feel like he's going to wait on that and hold off a bit. Although dealing with a lich, it might be time to amp up his inventory just a bit. A lich could be a variety of power levels. Victor could debatably become one now if he tried and wanted to be. They could also be weaker than him. But in general, they're expert and beyond level mages. And Victor wouldn't want to take the risks. There's also the innate benefits of the fact they are liches. So, yeah. So, for now, Victor will go to the tent. He will see if they can use his magic and her weaving abilities to enhance his cloak even further. And, see about making some potions and such. And we'll go from there. Maybe he'll have a chat with Siley as well. Hello everyone, and thank you for watching. If you'd like to see future content, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell notification icon. If you'd like access to bonus content, such as special privileges on my personal Discord, extra information on my stories and world building, or perhaps simply wish to support my work here, please consider becoming one of my patrons on Patreon. Thank you for all your time, and I can't wait to see you in the next chapter of our story.